You know who is walking in just behind us? Agent Eddy Delpino.
Eccoci. Parts Uncharted, Episode 18, The Deck and the Rigging of the Schooner. As for any naval architect, they would ask the owner, what kind of vessel are we going to build? For us the choice was clear, a schooner, a 100-footer, for at least 8 to 12 crew. But the first next question comes the sail plan. That was an easy choice for us, see the options there are. We are clearly looking for a wishbone fisherman. Why so early in the design to consider the rigging and sail plan, one would ask. This has all to do with the layout of the deck and the construction of the superstructure. Where are the loads going to be? The choice has to be made. The way we want to operate the sails are with a short-handed crew, and at times only one on watch. With an sail area of over 700 square meter, it requires sail management systems. We want to prevent a too cluttered cockpit, with maybe optional solutions of a foredeck station, accessible through the crew bow deck hatch. Neither do we want to have all winches and halyards and sheets run on hydraulic or electrical power, that would set further strain on the machine room power supply systems. We have lots of questions still to ask and to be answered. How many winches do you have on your boat? The answer is none. They are all capstans. By definition, a winch stores its cable on the drum, and it's mounted horizontally. We're familiar with Nelsonian sailors hornpiping their way around the capstan, weighing anchor, but the rest of the sail handling was done using blocks and tackles. The poor mechanical advantage and high friction they offered limited the size of the sails they could handle. Hence the many small sails seen on tall ships. The winch has been in use for millennia. There are records, dating from the 4th century BC, of winches being used to tighten cables supporting pontoon bridges, and also being used in construction. Looking at the capstan, it's clear that, axis aside, little changed in the intervening 2,000 years. So when did winches become so popular? to answer that question, Eddy, the Avenger is sent out on a mission to Lumar. Their factory is located south of England, near the Mecca of sailing, the Solent, where the start is for the great race, the Fastnet. We need to look at the features required to install the hatches, reinforced glass, steering, and above all the winches, capstans. Let's have a look around in their factory, and let the spoof do his work. There is evidence of snubbing winches, geared 1-to-1 and turning only clockwise on a ratchet, in use on yachts in the late 19th century, but the following extract from Douglas Phillips Burt's Rigs and Rigging of Yachts, 1954, confirms that sheet winches were around at the turn of the century. Winches are not in fact a new piece of gear, though their extensive use in yachts of all sizes is a modern piece of design. And the best winches of the past seem to have been at least as good as the present day. Those designed by Nathaniel G. Harishoff in 1903 for the Reliance were handed down to Resolute in 1920 and then to Enterprise in 1930. Some of them may even have found their way on board Ranger 6 years later. Moray MacPhail of Classic Marine in Woodbridge said, "There are photographs showing Harishoff's Whirlwind with winches in 1929. Sparkman and Stevens' Stormy Weather was also fitted with them when Olin's brother Rod brought her across in 1935, winning the transatlantic race and the Fastnet race before heading back to the States." Winches were common on larger racing yachts by the mid-1930s but didn't become commonplace on smaller yachts until after World War II. These winches were more like capstans, operated using a lever in the base or at the top of the winch, like early Lumar and Gibb winches. It was not until 1959 that the modern top-action winch was invented. Len Lurie started a company making tough knoll dinghy fittings in 1946 and he was joined by Leslie Marsh, a local plant hire operator. In 1950, they called the company Lumar. Henry Shepard, whose company made helicopter gearboxes for Westland, bought into Lumar in 1959 and used his knowledge of lightweight aeronautical materials to develop the multi-speed, top-action winch we recognize today. It's thanks to the power-multiplying winch that the simple Bermudan sloop rig has become so popular. Instead of many small sails, like you would find on tall ships, and rigs like ketch, yawl, gaff, smack or schooner, we now have the power to control two big powerful sails. What have we learned? The wishbone lift and management posing questions for us. We do not like the idea of in-mast furling. When we were with Atos in Greenland, it gave us various problems. Also, all the hydraulic or electric power needs to be generated. We will need to search more before we depart to places uncharted. Here you can see the size of capstans, winches we require, to handle the 700 square meters of sail. One can imagine the amount of power required. All that power also needs to be generated down below in the machine room. We need to find a way to harness the wind and momentum for the boat to generate this. It would be useless to have a diesel generator run all the time. What is the use of sails then, one may ask? As usual, we are going to leave you with our thought. Eddy will be back soon with another adventure. The build must go on.
Madame, excuse me.
We are traveling in the search for our destination, which will take us to places uncharted. Do we really want to travel in hermetically sealed plastic vessels through the rural provinces in search of utopia of France Atlantic, the Caribbean, Panama, the Southern Ocean, the Far Eastern Pacific? And to endure cold of the Arctics, or just eating only in hard rock cafes and McDonald's? Or do we want to eat and travel without fear, tearing into the local stew? The humble taqueria's mystery meat? The sincerely offered gift of a lightly grilled fish head? We know what we want. We want it all. We want to try everything once. Travel isn't always pretty. It isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it hurts. It even breaks your heart. But that's okay. The journey changes you. It should change you. It leaves marks on your memory, on your consciousness, on your heart, and on you. You take something with you. And hopefully, you leave something good behind. A A story from and by Marinus and his crew traveling to places uncommonly not visited by the cruising communities. Follow us and subscribe.